I think the reason I say that your personality is a choice is because of the pure fact that from the moment we're born, we're conditioned in a certain way. And we know for a fact that we can condition ourselves in a new and different way depending on our life experiences going forward and the way that we walk our path, the way that we sort of treat our inner dialogue, the way we move through emotions, and most importantly, the way that we're engaging with reality. Our brain can observe this and start to formulate itself in a new and conditioned way, depending on how we act, depending on how we move through reality. So when I say your personality is a choice, I mean that every single day we wake up and we choose who to be. There's technically nothing stopping you from waking up tomorrow and acting like a completely different person. And if you were to somehow be transported on the other side of the world where no one knew you, no one was holding you to any sort of expectation of who to be, you could act like a completely different person. You can act in any sort of way with any sort of confidence, with any sort of charisma, and that wouldn't be questioned because that's who they know you as. And every day we have a clean slate. And even though the people around us are holding expectations of who they believe we are because they're holding on to an idea, that's exactly what it is. It's an idea. And ideas can be broken. Ideas themselves are illusory. Secondly, by embodying certain personality traits, we start to notice that our identity itself is very fluid. Just because you are preconditioned into existing with certain psychological tendencies. For example, some people may be preconditioned to be a little bit more anxious and worrisome than others. Maybe this is due to some sort of genetic predisposition. But we also know that through certain practices, through certain exposures, that that can be changed. Anxiety levels can go down. Association with an anxious identity can be erased. And your personality as you know it, how you show up in a room, how you present yourself in relationships, this can all change. The biggest trap is when we see that how we were sort of naturally unfolding, the anxieties and the fears and whatever else, we see that as a sort of paradigm of who we are in our deepest truth, when who we really are, deep, deep in our essence, is the awareness of the identity itself. We are the force that is able to observe. We are the force that is able to be aware of our actions, of our thoughts, of our emotions. So, given that we are the backdrop awareness, that we are sort of the chooser and the animating force, selecting where to move our focus and where to animate, where to give life to, that means that what we really are is nothing. This may sound this may sound kind of dim and a little bit dark, but if we are nothingness, if our identity is a construct, that means that we can reconstruct it in any way to benefit our lives. That means through practices such as neuroplasticity, where the brain learns and physically formulates itself and changes the way it reacts neurochemically, that we can change our lives simply by changing the way our brain operates. Most people will never wake up to the fact that who they are as a person is an idea. Whether it's the construct as other people know you, or it's the construct as how you know yourself, it is an idea, it is an opinion. And through repetition, through training the mind, and through training ourselves, we can condition ourselves to believe differently about our identity. And this is going to change how we act. This is going to change how we make choices. And therefore, this is going to change our reality. Something that people don't want to hear, and something a lot of us have trouble accepting, is the sort of radical accountability that we have to have over our lives to actually change it. There's no easy way to go out of your comfort zone. There's no easy way to change who you are as a person, even through something as quote unquote magical and transformative as neuroplasticity. We still have to show up every day. We still have to play the part of the person that we want to be. And you may say, that's a lot of work. What's the point? I don't want to go through all that. And that's also a choice that you're making. Not making the decision to change your life, not choosing to change the way your mind operates and choose the way that your identity is formulated. That is a choice that you are also making. That also takes an effort, though it takes far less effort because you've already conditioned yourself to be the person that you are today. Or your environment has conditioned you to be in a certain way, or maybe the people around you have conditioned you to be a certain way over all the years of your life. Either way, we have to understand that conditioning is always going to happen. Our minds are being programmed, our minds are being conditioned, and we can either let the conditioning that we've been experiencing keep happening, and we're going to keep getting the same sort of frustrations and results out of our life, or we can wake up to a new premise and a new idea and a new understanding that what it means, quote unquote, to be the creator of your reality is to be the creator of your mind as a tool. And to master yourself, it's to master your identity. Because you don't change the world around you necessarily. You change how you show up in the world. And then from there, the choices that you automatically make sort of in autopilot or unconsciously is going to be a result of the identity that you formulated consciously. The actions that we take every single day are a result of our conditioning. Whether we're avoiding things that make us anxious, we're avoiding things that make us scared, or we're seeing opportunity in difficulty and using them as portals into becoming the person we want to be. The greater the challenge, the greater the resistance to push you back into your old identity instead of your new identity, or rather, should I say, your old personality instead of your new personality, the greater the opportunity. Whenever there's a challenge in front of you, for example, giving a toast at a dinner with a lot of people, if this is something you would never do, ever, and this is something I'm writing about in my new book, if you do that action, the sort of action that portrays your new personality and the person that you want to be, this is sort of a point towards your new conditioning. Your brain is keeping score. So every time you act in avoidance, every time you act in the sort of personality you've been embodying that you're not satisfied with, that's a point towards your old conditioning. And every time you overcome some sort of difficulty that you would usually have avoided, that's a point towards your new conditioning. And people who have done great things in this world in life, they either know this unconsciously or consciously. Because you don't have to look at it from a psychological standpoint. You don't even have to understand what neuroplasticity is. You could just look at it from a sort of willpower standpoint. People who have accomplished great things, they may just not accept the hands that they're dealt. They might just not accept the sort of way that they're behaving. So they rewire their minds and they condition themselves without even knowing necessarily what they're doing. This is a common factor among all people, among all great artists and people who have done really amazing things. They've had to overcome themselves first, and some of them don't. And some of them eventually fall victim to their old identity. But to create something of our lives, we're going to have to create something of our inner world, and we're going to have to use our mind as the tool, as the powerful tool it is. Because through repetition, through repeated behaviors of being the type of person that we want to be, it will slowly get less awkward. It will slowly get less tense and feel less weird. It's a process. And if we trust in the process, we don't have to believe in ourselves even necessarily. Believe in the neuroplastic ability of your mind. Believe in that. Do whatever, if you need to look up studies, if you need to look up new videos on neuroplasticity and what is capable, what our mind is truly powerful enough to do whatever you need to do, because the conscious mind, your awareness, the doubt that you feel that you can really change into a new personality, the doubt that you're experiencing, that does not hinder the sort of computer-like program that is running when you take repeated actions. Your doubt does not affect the neuroplasticity. It does not. So even in your doubt, act like the person you want to be. Even in your fear, anxiety, worry, act like the person you want to be. If we can take, for example, we're trying to overcome the perception of others and the judgments of others. We're trying to take less actions that are going to be rooted in avoiding other people's opinions of us. At first, when you stand, metaphorically on a grand stage and let everyone see you, you don't shy away, you don't hide, you don't make yourself small, you voice yourself, you stand proud, you make eye contact, whatever it may be. It's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel tense, weird. Every bone in your body is going to tell you to sort of run away from the situation and go back into isolation, whatever it may be. Find safety in some sort of environment. Hide yourself. This is a point towards old conditioning, and you could probably think to how many situations in your life, without even realizing it, probably half of the time, that you've scored points for old conditioning and you've wired yourself to be sort of socially anxious in this dramatic way. It's because we repeat these behaviors over and over and over. And then we wonder why. Why do I just keep feeling more and more scared of other people's opinions? 5 years ago, I don't remember being this scared. I was a little bit scared. I wasn't this scared, though. And that's because we've programmed ourselves through these repeated actions. Every time we take those avoidant behaviors, we score a point for our old conditioning. So our old conditioning might be up 50 points to 0 right now. But the good thing is, the new conditioning takes far less time to sort of get on the board, get on the scoreboard. For every 1 point towards old conditioning, new conditioning scores 2 points. And that's the power of change. You can look at this in a sort of evolutionary way as well. For our minds to assist us in the best way possible, for us to evolve, we're always seeking, new safeties, new heights. And these new safeties, real safety, is found in a personality. It's found in an identity that is resilient and unshaken by anxieties and fears. So soon, what you will see is after letting yourself be seen, after bearing the judgments of other people and sort of bearing the weight of not knowing if they're judging you or not, if they're expressing their opinions on you or not, you're going to start to experience less of that bodily discomfort. And you're going to experience less of those thoughts as well. Because at the beginning, you're going to experience a lot of them. But if you don't feed the emotional bodily discomfort by running away, by hiding away in avoidance, and you don't feed the thoughts by ruminating on them and going back and forth with them, they're going to slowly start to show up. And then, once you cross the line of a sort of neutral standpoint, so now you're kind of getting there, you're making progress. The next phase is you actually actively don't care at all what people think. You actually are actively walking with confidence into rooms, and the thoughts and that fear that you used to have, it actually doesn't even show up at all anymore. So it went from a lot of it to not much of it to completely gone. And then, it depends how far you want to take it. This conditioning game, this sort of new personality game, it's as intense, it's as in depth as you want to take it. If you keep going that far, if you keep a conscious mindset, you will probably actively, without even your conscious awareness knowing, you will actively seek out these situations where you are in front of other people, where people's opinions are going to be expressed upon you. And that's because you start moving down the spectrum of the two. On one side, there's an utter and complete fear of other people's opinions. And on the opposite side, there's an absolute zero care of people's opinions. There's an invitation of people's opinions because you know you can't control it either way. So you'd rather do absolutely everything that you want to do because people are going to judge either way. You could sit in the corner and not say anything the whole day and someone might judge you. Someone might judge you more for doing that than being the loudest person in the room. The opposite could be true as well. So we have to see that all the personality traits that we have, they are in our control. Every day, every moment, we choose how to act. We choose how to behave as a person. And all we have to do is bring consciousness and awareness into our everyday life. Do not avoid discomfort. If what you sort of don't want to express as who you are, if the personality traits you don't want to experience are that of shying away, are that of trying to control, maybe lashing out in anger, whatever it may be, if you can bring awareness to the fact that these are choices that you're making, you are choosing to behave this way. Nothing can be changed in our life. Our reality cannot change until we take accountability for the choices we are making, even if we kind of do it automatically, even if it's done on autopilot, sort of unconsciously. We are choosing to act in that way. It was also a choice to not bring a more intense conscious awareness into our life. That is also a choice. It is a choice when you walk into a room to check your phone instead of looking at people and walking into the room confidently. These are choices. They are choices. And if we repeat the choices of the type of person that we actually want to be, if we keep repeating it again and again and again, we will become that person. Because in reality, there is no becoming without first being. You have to allow it to feel weird. You have to allow it to feel awkward. And you have to allow it even to feel inauthentic. Because what do you owe loyalty to? What self do you owe loyalty to? You owe loyalty to the self you are right now. But what about the person you were a year ago? What about the person you're going to become a year from now? Who really are you? What really is your personality, if not the way you choose to express yourself? If every single person who's ever done anything great for themselves, great for others, great for the world, no matter what it may be, if all of those people just accepted their sort of natural way of hiding, their sort of natural way of avoiding, they would have never become the people that they were. And whether they knew about neuroplasticity consciously or unconsciously, they changed themselves to change their reality. So what we're looking for really is a change in our state of being. Because when you change how you show up, opportunities change. And through opportunities, our life changes. Through our choices, our reality changes. See the difficulties, see everything that is sort of resisting this new personality that you're embodying. Everything that challenges that is an opportunity. It's a portal into truly cementing that personality. All the people you see, whether on the internet, on TV, whatever it may be, there's a good chance that those who truly went above and beyond had to first erase their idea of who they were and create a new idea of who they're going to choose to be in the future. And to be that person in the future, they have to embody them right now. No matter how weird, no matter how tense, no matter how awkward, they bear that discomfort because the reward is something intoxicating. And at the end of the day, it is our life on the line. How badly do we want our life to be the one we dream of rather than the one we're going to regret never ever giving a true chance to? If you guys are listening on Spotify, thank you for watching the video. And if you guys are watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.